What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different, mostly because I kind of was asked to take a look at a video last night on the Discord from one of you crazy fuckers out there. Um, so this is kind of a response video. You tell by the thumbnail and the title of the video, it's my response to Mr. Guns and Gear. I have nothing against Mr. Guns and Gear. I actually don't think that his interpretation is all that wrong, but run that fucking intro and then we'll get into it. So before we get into it, I would like to remind everybody this is the point of the video where you fast forward a little bit if you don't feel like supporting us, but you can support us. This video is sponsored essentially by myself. Head over to tacticalpineapple.com/express. You can look at our holsters, or tacticalpineapple.com/support, and you can find other various ways that you can support the channel. So that being said, we'll get into it. So Mr. Guns and Gear, I don't necessarily disagree with his interpretation, but there was a leaked email by the ATF that got into his hands. It got into the Gun Owners of America's hands. I watched both of the videos. Gun Owners of America is a little bit more fear-mongering, I guess. They're not trying to fear-monger nearly as much as Mr. G&G seems to be, which... I get it. You want to get the clicks, you want to do that, but we do have to be a little bit more careful as people who have followings. I mean, like, I don't have shit for a following, but somebody his size definitely should be a little bit more careful not to necessarily fearmonger. First and foremost, the title of your video, Mr. G&G. I thought I was looking at a fucking NRA email, but I digress. So the premise of the whole video that he had was just quick breaking news, reading this email that he got, and then kind of just saying how he felt about it, which he's entitled 100% to feel however he feels about it. So no shame there. But I guess we'll just let him read the letter, and then we'll come back and we'll kind of break it down a little bit. What he says afterwards, then we'll react kind of to that. So without further ado, here's Mr. Guns and Gear.
So right here, it basically says, attached are the cease and desist letters and the Fat D technical bullets in referring to the rare breed and wide open triggers. It skips on, and then it says basically the C and D cease and desist letters and the probable cause statements have been cleared by the OCC. Important quote, please let your respective dad know, it's an acronym, know if you plan to serve a cease and desist to any FFL within your area of responsibility. There are two versions of the cease and desist letter. One for the companies that are manufacturers and distributors, and one for that are retailers. So basically they're going to go around to retailers as well as just the companies that ship them, process them, whether they be online retailers, things like that, as well as your local FFLs, gun stores, etc. Please work with your division counsel to fill in the highlighted areas within the appropriate information, because again, there's two different letters that they're giving depending on what type of business you are. As discussed, please be prepared to take possession of any documents and FRTs the manufacturer, distributor, retailer offers to surrender. The manufacturer, distributor, retailer may choose to abandon the items, in which case ask them to complete a consent to property form, which is a standard ATF form. And waiver, it's ATF form 3400.1. If the manufacturer seller refuses to abandon the items, please take custody of the items and seize them for forfeiture so that they can be properly noticed. Okay, so let that sink in. So what they're doing basically is, if you've been following this case, the ATF considers these triggers to be machine guns themselves, and anybody in possession of them to be in possession of a machine gun, which is a felony for folks that don't know, and is punishable by more than 10 years in prison for each one. So they're saying that you are a felon in possession of a machine gun, even though these triggers absolutely 100% do not meet the definition of a machine gun according to the ATF's own definition, and they have not been able to prove in court that they do. There is an ongoing court case, and they have not been able to prove it to date, and they won't be able to. But what they're doing is going in and taking machine guns, quote unquote, from people. So they're saying even if they refuse to give it up, then we're going to take it by force. So armed men from the government are going to come take your property by force, even though it's completely legal. Yeah, like you can't make that up. Like that's what their plans are. Additionally, FMS, which is the division of the ATF, will be collecting the FRTs recovered and number of defendants found in possession of these devices. The word defendants is kind of key there, isn't it? I think that may have been a slip that if they intended this email to be seen by the public, probably would have worded a little bit differently. The initial request for the timeline, basically, and they give a timeline, and it ends on January 26, 2022. That would be today. Moving forward, we will request to have the information by the last Friday of every month. I will route reminders requirements through DOOs with a CCDU. So again, this is insane. This is what people have warned about, right? So let's pretend for a second that these are actual machine guns, which they're not. So they're coming and taking your guns, right? That you legally purchased, legally own, and that there's no court case saying is a machine gun, but they say they are.
So yeah, we fully believe similarly to what he does. Obviously, this is a slippery slope. It's not something that we want to go through because really it does have implications for the American people. And Gun Owners of America was a bit nonchalant in it, saying, well, it's for businesses, this and that. Now, the letter itself, the way it's interpreted, I believe, is slightly fucky. Number one, the federal government did issue a cease and desist letter to the manufacturers. It is the manufacturer's job to make sure that people who are buying them know that or this happened, right? Every single retailer knows about this. Every single retailer knows that this happened. Anybody who doesn't is full of shit. The fact of the matter is that cease and desist letter is technically letter of the law until a court bears otherwise. Now, the cease and desist is not saying the item is illegal. Their interpretation of the item is saying the item is illegal. Now, the court cases that are before, that are pending, essentially the lawsuits and stuff like that from Rare Breed Triggers, they're not pushed through. But the lawsuit itself is about making the interpretation they already have of it invalid. So technically, they have classified them as a machine gun. So technically, they are considered a machine gun right now. We, the people, have caused this issue because we've allowed them to do what they've done and what they're doing now for so many fucking years under the color and guidance of compromise and safety and the NR fucking A. This is the world we've created. I know that people don't like to believe that or see that, but it is the fucking fact of the matter. Now, we have a bunch of people who are saying no further, and that's great, and we're fighting it, but it requires legal time, and that fucking takes forever. In the meantime, the cease and desist is active. They cannot manufacture or do whatever. And two Rare Breed Triggers fucking, basically defense. They said, we're not going to stop. And so that puts it to the federal government to enforce what they consider the law for right now. Court cases may change that, which I hope the fuck they do, because Force Reset Trigger is not a machine gun. But the fact of the matter remains, they had the cease and desist. They're going out. They're going to confiscate the items that are out there yet. I don't agree with it. I think it's a very slippery slope, similar to these other guys. But this is not the event, guys. I don't see this as being the let's go to fucking war right now over this. There's court cases that are pending. There's legal ways that will not end up with people dying aimlessly that are probably better options right now. So to take a little bit of the fear-mongering out of it, this is currently limited to manufacturers and retailers. The fact that they call them defendants is what it is, because there's a cease and desist letter that exists. They continue to do it. They are now in violation of the cease and desist letter, and that makes them technically defendants against the court system, basically, when they serve these papers to go in and confiscate these items. So hopefully they get them back. Hopefully the court cases are expedient and we can get past all this bullshit and the FRT triggers can come back to market. It's a very slippery slope, like they say, but this is not. They're not coming for your guns tomorrow. They're coming for these FRT triggers. Now, all of that being said, if you have an FRT trigger, I am not a lawyer. Do not take this as perfect legal advice. But my advice would be to remove it from your gun, which, number one, doesn't make it not a machine gun. There's people who've said put it in the back of a safe and just let it be there. That piece of equipment in the back of your safe is no different than a Ludi or a fucking, auto sear sitting in the back of your safe. It will get you jail time, plain and simple. Due to the FRT's current designation as a machine gun, my personal opinion would be to retain a lawyer, hand the property over to the lawyer, and allow the lawyer to maintain possession of that until the cases come through. Now, if the ATF or anybody comes knocking at your door, you can say, look, I do not have the item. I surrendered it to a lawyer. They are currently holding it pending the outcome of legal battles. If they decide to go the route of getting it from your lawyer, that's fine. There's legal precedents. There's a way that they can do that that's going to prevent people from dying stupidly, right? So that's my personal advice. I know that some lawyers may not do it. Some lawyers may not take it because of the designation of machine gun, but try to find that person who will do it. Somebody who's willing to kind of handle essentially the transfer of it from you to them legally under some form of contract that guarantees that the outcome changes, you get it back. So that's pretty much all I'm going to go into today. I know I said I was going to kind of react to what he said, but I basically just did that here. I kind of let him talk before. So, yeah, until the next video, folks, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you like the content that I'm putting out. If you don't like the content, give me a thumbs down. Interaction. I don't fucking care. Also, hit the comment section. We'll have some conversation down below. And until the next video, folks, carry your fucking pistols. Brandon fucking hates them.